Sections. Right, so John Spensley, everyone knows who you were regarding Paul. He described you in the book he gave you as the greatest man he's ever met. He speaks highly of you in Sweet Agony. I think he described Middlesbrough as, when he first went there, he looked at the clouds and the icy eye and he thought, what a shithole. And he said it was the greatest week of his life. Obviously you had him up
stayed with us in my house,
yeah, jogging around Stewart's Park, sprinting around.
We took him to every day.
Saltburn.
Picked him up at Saltburn at the pub there. You know, the one Cross Keys or whatever, the one down on the beach.
Yeah. So you and your brother Tony were quite instrumental in his beginning. So you've just read Sykes' Final Agony, which was the final book on Paul Sykes from Jamie Boyle. What did you think of it, John?
I thought it was very truthful. It wasn't rose-coloured by anyone. Everyone seemed to tell the truth in it. They weren't colouring him making him a Robin Hood character, which he wasn't. It was, you got to the nitty-gritty of Paul Sykes. You've done a very good job, I think. You know, and knowing him, it fit in. Everything you said was as it was. And the people he interviewed were more honest, I thought. They were giving more. There were genuine people who didn't know him. You could tell that.
Yeah. What did you?
There were not people who met him a couple of times and knew him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think of? I mean, that police officer. I can't announce his name, but he was a former top rank and he's give us 20 pages for the book. When you read that, John, was that really what the Paul you knew what he was like?
Yeah, it was. I mean, he was a character. He was a very clever character. With a very acute brain, but unfortunately, drink just ruined it.
I mean, you were really close to him, John, but you used to dread when he'd be like, John, I'm coming up Middlesbrough for the weekend, and he'd put him in the Baltimore, the Highfield, and he'd just cause mayhem for you, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, that was drink. But when he stayed with me, when he lived with us and trained, I didn't have that. It wasn't drinking. Oh yeah, we went out with the Contessa, which was a quiet little club. It wasn't full of rajpots, you know. The Contessa was always a bit of the market clubs, and then we'd be at the bar, and I mean, he had odd occasions there, which was quite. Told you about the fella knocking his hat, didn't I?
Yeah.
But they asked for it, you know. There were a lot of daft people in the world, you know. I mean, very daft with drink. They don't realise who they're dealing with. I mean, Paul was a dangerous human being. You know, he was not a Mr. Normal.
Yeah.
You were dealing with dynamite. You do not know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about the chapter on Delroy Showers at the end of the book? I know it was very deep and philosophical, but what did you think of it? Was it?
Well, it was. He looked like he'd studied a bit of psychiatry, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But the film is going to happen. I'm told. Obviously, it was going to start last month. COVID's seen to that. There's going to be a film and documentary, John, which starts in June 2021. Obviously, I'm putting you forward for the documentary with your Delroy Showers and all this kind of things. But I think when the film happens, I think it'll be the script's been written already.
Right, yeah.
And it's I think that will be huge because listen, I'm not glamorising him. You knew him, I didn't, but he was one hell of a character, wasn't he?
He was a character, there's no doubt about it. But I never glamorised him. I mean, but I can't help being amused by people if they're funny. And I can't help admiring people if they have certain where fighters come, you know. I mean, I've just read the book on Tyson.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrible. Have you read it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, well, I mean, the writer of that, it's just, he's just like a sex maniac, you know what I mean? Oh, he is, honestly. You just have to read it. I mean, I don't know how he dare write it. I don't know how anyone would read it.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 and 6 women a day, and then just going out after that with another woman and another woman. I mean, bloody hell. I mean, he's not human.
Yeah.
But, but he has certain things of Paul's in him. Certain characteristics.
I mean, you give me a quote, John, I liked, and you said, listen, although I think it was something along the lines of, I liked Paul, but you were a very successful businessman, and your kind of wealthy friends just wouldn't have tolerated Paul's antics.
No, they were scared of him. See, I wasn't scared of him.
Yeah.
Don't know why I wasn't scared of him, because he never tried to put power over me. He never ever used any sort of aggression with me. He laughed with me even when I made jokes about him. We used to take. Told you about it, which I always thought was funny. John, is that probably yours? The gum shield there.
Yeah.
The blowout on the road.
Yeah, you've told me. Yeah.
Never shut up. Giving him praise, praise. And he couldn't stand that.
Yeah.
He couldn't stand people who crawlers. He didn't like crawlers. You could not crawl around Paul Sykes.
Absolutely. So, I mean, do you think? I mean, was it? Obviously, I've done 3 books now. There's 5 in total. I'm actually still yet to get you one, John. There's one called "It's Sharks" by my business partner Rob Brenton. So I'll get you that. In fact, I tell you what, I'll drop it in today. But what was I going to say?
What doing this time was very good because it was more like a documentary. It was. You didn't let anything you thought, or you didn't let. It was done like it was done professionally by doctors and people who knew. It was done like a good documentary on telly, if you know what I mean.
Because John, you know as well as I do. Listen, I could have put a lot of hearsay in that book, right? I've heard, Sykes bun my mates and all this, but I dealt with the facts, right? And the facts were, when I spoke to that top former retired Wakefield police guy, he said Paul Sykes' record was 231 convictions, right? That's a huge amount, but he said not one single one was from any kind of sexual deviancy. So that's just a fact.
Yeah, because it's now the police, the old screw in it.
Yeah.
He had a liking of him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you could tell that.
You could tell it, because he wasn't scared of him. And if you weren't scared of Paul couldn't stand cowards.
Yeah.
And he couldn't stand people who were crawlers. The worst thing you could be was a crawler with Paul. And there was a lot of them, especially when I had him at Middlesbrough. People were coming out of the woodwork who'd probably spent a day with him in Durham. Yeah. And he couldn't even remember them. When they were there. Now, Paul... and then he killed the fucking house, that.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was well known in Middlesbrough, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he was well known because he'd spent a bit of time in Durham.
Yeah.
And he was well known in Hartlepool and that, but he got more well known. I mean, he stayed with me and kept coming all the time.
Yeah. Well, John, that was where he done.
When he was bored, he was off to Middlesbrough.
Yeah, but when he done the robbery, when he got 5 years, he done that in Haverton Hill,
Yeah, no, that was before I knew him.
Yeah, that was 73 or 74, 73. Yeah. But he got caught for that. He done the bookies, and in the car he had a pair of boxing gloves hung up. That's how they got him on that.
Well, you mentioned in that one a fella who was. I knew was very well.
Yeah, don't mention his name though.
The lad who well, he got hit on the head with a wall brick actually and finished up in there.
Yeah.
In that mental hospital.
Yeah.
But he was a hard lad as well, and he was a similar type to Sykes. He was a straight hard case. You know what I mean? Evidently, I don't think Sykes had his own way with him neither.
No, I know. Yeah, he did.
He was from Avon. He was from Avonhill, all that way.
Yeah. It's in the book, so people can read that. Yeah. But listen, John, what I'm going to do, that's been fantastic.